right, I'd like to call the Brimfield Township Board of Trustees public hearing to order. Roll call for attendance, please.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
All right.
All right, we are here for a public hearing related to a Brimfield Township zoning text amendment. I'd like to turn the floor over to our zoning and economic developer, Mike Ladd, for initial review, and then we'll open the floor to public comments.
Okay, thanks, Nick. So if you look at section 400.10B 56L1, it states ownership, any ownership arrangement, including but not limited to fee simple lots and condominiums, is permitted in a conservation development. Regardless of the ownership of the land, the arrangement of the dwelling unit shall comply with the spacing requirements of this section. We found this section and we don't want to put any kind of housing developments within a conservation district. That should have been taken out years ago. It defeats the purpose of the conservation area.
All right. We will officially open the floor up to any public comments that would like to be stated to the board. We will not be voting during the public hearing, but this is the public's chance to make any comments on the zoning amendment changes. Second call for comments. All right. No comments. All right. If there are no comments from the public, last call, I will entertain a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right. Public hearing closed 6:46 p.m. We'll be back at 7. 7 p.m., I'd like to call the Brimfield Township Board of Trustees regular meeting of July 6, 2026 to order. Roll call for attendance, please.
Kevin,
Here.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Here.
All right, quorum met.
All right, if everybody could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of prayer or silent meditation. Thank you. All right, we're going to start with our announcements and correspondences. Do we have any announcements or correspondences today? All right, hearing none. We have no scheduled meeting guests. We will move into meeting minutes. I will entertain a motion to accept the 6/15 of 2026 regular meeting minutes as presented.
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the meeting minutes? Hearing none, roll call.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
Minutes approved.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the agenda as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Discussion. Are there any changes or amendments to the agenda?
Yes, I have one under board approval for zoning. Number 5, I'd like to add removal of resolution 400.10B 56L1.
All right, so we're going to have under zoning, new business, board approval 1, and text amendment change. Okay. Do we have any other changes?
For fiscal, we are omitting number 3 and moving that to the next board meeting.
All right, we'll omit number 3. So financial information budget reports added to website will become number 3.
One. Here it is.
All right, any other changes? So we're omitting number 3, replacing 4.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Hearing no other changes, we have a motion and a second on the floor with amendments to the agenda. The amendments include changes to zoning and economic development, new business board approval, text amendment changes to section 400.10B 56L. And under fiscal office, new business, number 3 has been omitted, making financial information added to website number 3. Roll call for acceptance of the proposed changes.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
All right, approved.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the purchase orders as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on purchase orders? Hearing none, roll call to accept.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
Purchase orders are approved.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to accept the warrants as presented.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, any discussion on the presented warrants? Hearing none, roll call for the acceptance of the warrants as presented.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
Warrants accepted.
All right. This is now our section for public comments. We do ask that you please state your name before addressing the board. We do have a sign-in sheet if you would like to speak. We will be given 3 minutes, which we'll display on the monitors up there. And we will start first with Craig from NOPAC. Thank you for joining us, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, Chairman. I not used to the 3 minutes, so man, I'm really gonna have to hurry up on this one. But anyway, I'll try to make it as clear and concise as I possibly can. We're your electric and gas aggregator. We're a council of governments, as you know, that you guys are a member of, and we appreciate your very active membership. I see Sue all the time. She's just bouncing around everywhere. I just want to talk to you guys today about something that we're calling Innovate. We developed a new branch of our organization to address the needs of heavy electric and gas users. As you may already know, an aggregation only has users up to a certain amount of kilowatts per year, and then after that, they go back to the price to compare, and they're kind of on their own to go out and find a better rate or contract with a broker, et cetera. So in order to handle those folks, we have developed something that we call Innovate. So basically, we broker contracts for large electrical users that don't fall into the aggregation. Now, you guys are been part of our preferred pricing program, which means that our main supplier gives you guys a reduced rate because you are a NOPEC municipality. We have discovered that if we broker our municipal accounts, we can even lower those rates a lot of the time. So that's something I want you guys to know about. And I will send you some information on that soon. That way you can kind of look it over. So basically, our preferred pricing program is rolling into the new Innovate branch of NOPEC. We're finding out that we're saving people a lot of money that way. So it's something that we not only want to look at for the township, but if you know of any other larger electric or gas suppliers, we can also help them. It's a very simple process. We just look at a current set of bills and we broker them out, and we get you guys back your new pricing that will come from multiple suppliers. There's no charge, there's no obligation or anything like that. It's just another service that we're trying to offer you as part of our Council of Governments agreement. So if you have any questions, you have my card. You know how to get a hold of me. And if you want me to come down for a cup of coffee, I'm always happy to do that too. As Michael knows, I'm always offering. But anything I can do for you guys, just feel free to let me know. Thank you.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And I'd ask that you get in contact with our township administrator, Roy Mosley over
Okay.
here.
I think I have your card, I believe.
Okay.
Yep, I'll follow up with you.
Use it.
Yes, sir.
Easy conversation.
Thank you, sir.
All right, Craig was the only one signed up, but I will open the floor one more time for anybody that would like to make public comments at the beginning of the meeting. We will have a section at the end also. All right, hearing no other public comments, we will move into safety concerns. Are there any safety concerns that come before the board this morning? This evening? All right, hearing no safety concerns, we'll move right into our business portion of the meeting. I will turn the floor over to our police chief. Chief Atkins, floor is yours.
Thank you. Police Department, you can see the calls are increasing. We are up to 10,654. We were about 1,000 behind last year, which we talked about, some changes of shifts and assignments, but we are creeping back up. I anticipate by the end of 2026, we'll be back on pace with around 14,000 to 15,000 calls, or maybe a little bit higher. Old business, we had our distracted driving event with State Highway Patrol over 2 different days, June 23rd and 24th. Brimfield Police totals, we had 48 traffic stops with 10 citations, and the State Patrol had 71 traffic stops with 62 citations. My theory on it was education. Education and visibility. I don't care about tickets, I've said that a few times. More about warnings and letting people know about the danger of distracted driving. Of all of those traffic stops, 57 of them were distracted driving offenses, so people who were using their cell phone. That is all I have for old business. For new business, you may have seen I posted on Facebook, I issued 2 life-saving awards to Officer Jessica Matthews and Officer Jake Rapp. They responded to a medical emergency and were there before the fire department and started life-saving procedures. And then they continued those procedures with the fire department and assisted with them. And they did a very nice job, reviewed the body camera. And it was actually originally just going to be for Jessica Matthews, but after we saw what Officer Rapp did too, we gave them both a life-saving award. So I already issued their awards and gave them the letter of commendations, just letting the board know.
Thank you. Congratulations to both Officer Matthews and Rapp for their work.
The next thing we tried, or the next thing for new business, I did a trial of an AI receptionist. It was supposed to last for 30 days. I killed it after 5 days. It worked very well. We built the knowledge base to let it answer questions, and it greatly reduced the number of phone calls that our clerk had to handle, which are just very repetitive, same answers over and over and over, the same phone calls every day. It really helped her with phone calls, but we get too many phone calls, and they charge you by minute. And after I looked at it for 5 days and did the math, I wasn't willing to spend the money on it. So I canceled the trial. Maybe I'll look at it next year because it was really helping her with phone calls. But I think Patty would tell you that the same phone calls every day with the same answers, with the knowledge base, AI was just telling you, okay, here's how you get your public record. Here's how you get your crash report. here's what you do to file a complaint. Like, all that stuff was there, but I didn't budget for it this year, so I'm not gonna do it this year. So maybe next year I'll come back and see if the board has any problems with moving to an AI receptionist.
Have you talked with Talmadge about that? I know when we were over at the Talmadge meetings, they're using AI as part of their 911 dispatch center now, and it was pretty informative, the conversations they were having with how that system was working. I don't know if it's a similar system.
It is, and I talked to everybody, and everybody liked it.
Okay.
And that's why, there's some little bit of a frustrations of when they couldn't get the answer they want, but they learned how to change the prompt, change what it looks for. AI is just gonna read text somewhere and figure out what it's supposed to be. So they all liked it. It just came down to price for me. They sell you minutes bundles. 100 minutes is X dollars, and I had it worked out that we were gonna blow through that trial in 7 days. And that was a trial of 100 minutes. So every time someone called and got the AI receptionist, the clock started. It was gonna be too expensive this year. So maybe next year. I tried to get them to give me a bundle and a deal, and they were like, no, here's our price. So we'll just sit on it for a year, or at least half a year. Other new business, I decided to add equipment to all of our cars called the Life Vac. And this is a device that can be used to remove something from an airway if someone is choking, not where they're unconscious and need CPR, but this is if a child is choking or an adult is choking. Instead of going to a Heimlich maneuver, it's basically like a plunger, and you cover their mask, like a CPR mask covers their nose and their mouth, and then you use the plunger to try and remove something that might be blocking an airway. I think it would be great if our officers arrive on scene first, and they can get that out of there if that's the scenario, and then the fire department can move on to more advanced stuff when they get there. I just think it would be a very good thing to add to all of our cars, so I authorized that. And we're gonna equip all of our cars that have one kit in there. And the Life Vac has a lifetime warranty, so if you do end up using it, they just replace it for you for free.
How much does each little kit cost?
I got them to $65 a piece. And then we put them in all the cars, including the detective car and unmarked cars. So
Yeah, I've
every
seen
police
that
car has it.
advertised on TV. I was impressed.
Yeah, I did some research on it, and there's a few variations, different brands out there, but that's the one that's pretty recommended. And it's one of those things that you hope you don't need, but if you do, it's really good that you had it. And the only thing I am asking board for approval is, Roy and I had talked about this for a little while prior to him being promoted. We are using our vehicles a lot for extra duty details, so traffic jobs, construction jobs. These companies hire our officers and then they rent our car basically. And we have had the same hourly rate for the vehicle for quite a few years, and every year our costs are increasing. Gas is up, nowhere near what I budgeted for, so over maybe $1.50 more than what we budgeted for. Vehicle maintenance costs are up, oil changes are up because the cost of oil is up. Everything is increased, and we have not increased our hourly rate for renting a vehicle. And these are companies that are renting our car, and our maintenance costs are going up, so I believe that we need to increase. And I'm asking the board to approve increasing our extra duty detail rate for the vehicle to $30 an hour.
What is the current rate?
15.
What's the current rate for the officers, chief, for working the details?
They are $60 an hour for traffic. I'm going to approach that rate next year, but I'm more worried about the vehicle maintenance cost than the cost of fuel for this year.
Okay.
I have officers sitting in Kent almost every single day with the Brimfield car directing traffic, and that's wear and tear on our cars, and we really need to increase this rate.
Is the hourly rate for the officers, is that across the board, or is it slightly less for traffic versus non-traffic details?
$5 less for like a security event, like a wedding or something.
So 55 and 60?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I probably would like to move to a set rate, just total across the board, like the state patrol does.
You want to revisit that next year?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to change something in the middle of the year when a lot of people have already signed up for officers for the year. they've already have them scheduled for stuff.
Do we want to have that discussion sooner than later with an effective date of January 1? Because if people start booking officers out early.
Maybe a couple months before the end of the year, for sure.
Okay, because I don't know how early they book out, but just so we don't end up in that same boat.
Yeah, I would bring it up right now, but I just haven't decided on a number. I'm still gathering info from other departments to see what they're doing.
Okay.
Do you have any rates like the other departments around here? What do they charge?
It's all around. State Patrol is, I think, 30 also. Kent Police is 15, but they unofficially are going to follow us if we do it first. It's a topic that's bringing up. I'm just kind of the first that's jumping on it because, frankly, our cars are sitting in Kent every single day. Every single day you can go up there and see a Brimfield car for traffic detail, and I just am dreading the maintenance costs.
This isn't a cost to the residents, it's just a cost to the company renting the officer in the car from this.
Correct. Well, it's saving the residents, it's saving taxpayer money to fix the cars for maintenance because we're trying to get it from the companies who use the cars.
Right, so this will balance those maintenance costs.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, can we take care of that now, or do we want to hold it to another meeting?
No, we can.
No.
I'll entertain a motion to accept a resolution in name only establishing compensation rates for off-duty police details, authorizing the chief of police to administer the off-duty detail program, and declaring an effective date.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that. So I guess the only thing is we just have to determine, 'cause it's not on the paperwork here, but $30 an hour. Is that the rate you were looking
That's,
at?
yes, $30 an hour.
Okay.
When would that start?
Now,
Effective immediately?
5 minutes.
Do we have contracts already with these jobs that we'll have to deal with?
No, the ones that we have contracts with are the ones in Brimfield, like the event, Sunny Hills, those where we're scheduled out. These other ones are when Kent can't fill it,
Okay.
or another department can't get their officers to work it, we're like the last minute. So
Okay.
we aren't, we might have a couple days scheduled this week, because that's usually how it works, but it's not like people that are months out in advance.
Okay. So we could start it effective
Yes,
immediately?
I've warned them it's all coming too, and I told them to start telling the contractors it's coming.
Okay.
So for purposes of the resolution, just confirming the hourly rate is 55 for general security, 60 for traffic-related details, and then 30 per hour for the cruiser. Is that accurate, Chief?
Yeah, but we're not gonna change the.
Yeah, those will stay
The
status quo.
officers stay status quo.
Yeah. But just because it'll go in the verbiage here, the resolution. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor for the adoption of the resolution establishing compensation rates for off-duty police details, authorizing the chief of police to administer the off-duty detail program, and declaring an effective date. Rates $30 an hour for the vehicles, $60 an hour for officers working traffic, $55 an hour for security events. Any other comments? No other discussion? Roll call for acceptance of the resolution as presented.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Anything else from police?
That is everything.
All right, any questions for police today?
Yeah, Chris, I got a complaint from somebody in Beechcrest about solicitation and permits and salesmen and,
Still the same rules. We are having no soliciting policy. When we get calls, we'll go out there and advise them. They have to come to the department, have to prove they have insurance, they have to get a permit, we issue the permit, and then they can go door to door, but this is
okay.
every year.
But we do check in on it. I mean, if somebody calls
If
and
somebody
complains-
calls, yeah, we go out
Okay.
there. Yep.
I think I got the same call as you. What they were specifically looking for, I think, is a no solicitation list. So they're saying, can there be a list in the township that says, we're a no solicitation household? Because they have a sticker on their front door, solicitors still knocking on the door. Is there some repercussion if we have a list that says this person has opted out of people coming on their property?
Right now, no. It's really hard to charge someone with trespassing for something like that. It's not what that code is for, but because we're a township and we don't have any ordinances that we can actually enforce, that
Well,
makes
what
it tough
about
for
those
us.
3 ice cream trucks that go through Beechcrest? And we're all old people living there, and we can't even hobble out there to get an ice cream cone. But we get to listen to the music that they play when
Do you want us to pull them over and slow them down for you to get to
slow
them?
down a
or-
little bit. Come give us some free ones once in a while.
So we couldn't create a no solicitation list.
I mean, we could create whatever, but I don't know that we can enforce it.
Okay.
I would tell you that there are some other townships that have no-knock programs in place. So there may be a frame of reference if we want to gather some additional information on that piece and what that would consist of to do that. We can circle back on that if you want some further follow-up on that.
I think it's worth looking. I mean, to me, it seems obvious. If there's a sign that says no solicitation, you just move on. You don't knock on the door. These people obviously don't want to be bothered, and this resident was pretty upset about it.
Oh, yeah.
So I think we should at least look at the options that exist out there. I don't know how much teeth we can have behind it, but if we at least explore it for the next meeting.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
We could figure out how we're gonna tie in what criminal aspect would fit. I mean, I know we can make a list, but like I said, they don't care. So when they do violate the list, what actually can we charge them? What is the thing that?
What can we do if they don't get a license?
There's some revised code language in section 500, I think, that addresses it.
Can we revoke their license then for soliciting in a non-soliciting house?
Yeah, well, the short answer is I would say I presume that we probably could do that. We just want to double check on that. But if we've established that and someone's violating that, then you could technically revoke it. I think the chief makes a good point because oftentimes these people don't bother to come get the permit on the front end anyway. So they're not even going to know that the no-knock list exists because they didn't go to get the permit in the first place.
So that's what I'm saying, if we could have that chain reaction, right? Okay, you didn't know it existed, and now we're telling you come get a permit.
Yeah.
Now you knock on the door, now we revoke your permit, you can't get it.
Yeah.
The overwhelming majority of people leave. As soon as we go out there and tell them you need a permit and you have to prove that you have insurance with $1 million liability or something, they're gone. A lot of these people get dropped off by their company and just say, hey, hit the neighborhoods. Very, very few get issued. So most of them are scared away, but if there was a list as, hey, here is your license and here's your list of people not to bother, that would work. Because the people that come in and actually get the license are the ones that are probably going to listen to it.
Sure.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, anything else for police? All right, hearing none, we'll move into fire department. Chief, floor's yours.
Okay, thank you. I have nothing for old business tonight, just some new business updates. The newer engine 1215 has been stickered, lettered. Equipment's being added right now, and hopefully we're in service by August 1st. We ran into just a small couple snags with some repairs we're doing on that engine. It doesn't hold up the engine running, but for example, we're having trouble with the ladder rack going up and down, so we're just doing some minor things right now while we're waiting to get all the hose loaded on it and everything else. Again, August 1st is hopefully we'll be in service on that. One of the new hires, the entry-level fireman, started today. Yesterday was actually his official start date, but today is his first day. And then just an update, two of the newer hires start medic school in a couple weeks. And one has already started, which was Nick, that started today. He is already in medic school and will graduate in December. So we'll have 3 more paramedics December to June of next year. So just updates.
All right. Do we have any questions for fire department today?
Yeah, Craig, what happened to the ladder rack? It worked in Streetsboro.
I don't know. Brock was down today, and they went through it for hours. And we're not sure what came loose, what wiring came loose, because it did work. So
I thought it was air.
what's that?
I thought that was air operated.
So we put the new switch in, and still nothing. So not sure on that.
Okay.
So he's going to come back next Monday. I think we're going to work on it some more. So
Any update on the dispatch
on the dispatch contract,
from Kent?
the contract stuff, you would have
No,
to ask.
that's
Okay.
for me.
All right.
I don't know.
Okay.
Look the other way, but no, I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, any other questions for fire? Okay, hearing none, we'll move into administration. Underneath, old business, property tax payment, township owed partials. We are still sitting with the state. Jasmine, I haven't seen any emails. Have you seen anything from them yet?
Nope, no mail, no emails.
All right. I'll follow up with Matt Kelly too and see if he has anything for us. Brimfield Township JED M&I and reimbursement. We're still working through that and getting information back from actually, no, this is the Talmadge one. So, are we talking about this, Roy, now, or are we doing that under fiscal, where we have to set the rates?
The rates, I think that may be under fiscal.
Okay.
Is there a note there?
Yeah, I saw that. Yep, M&I allocations. So we'll hold off on that until we get to fiscal. We need to set those rates. Then we also have the POWMIA observance event. Do you have any updates on Alpha 11?
No updates yet. The gentleman that I've been communicating with on that said he was going to circle back with me during the month of July, so I expect to hear from him sometime over the next couple of weeks. So when I get some additional information, I can update the board accordingly.
Okay. And then we do have old business, board approval of a purchasing and procurement policy as a result of the last meeting's discussion.
Yeah, so as the board's aware, at the last meeting, we had some discussion regarding protocols relative to quotations for purchases from department heads. We also had some discussion regarding emergency purchase orders and the process we would follow for that. So as a follow-on to that, we put together some policy language from an operational perspective that I think is going to adequately address the questions that were raised by the board, while at the same time not being overly administratively burdensome to our department heads. I did have a chance to meet with each of our department heads, police chief, fire chief, road superintendent, Mike Lab was there as well, and we had some discussion regarding the policy, and I also had an opportunity to discuss with Jasmine from an accounting perspective and records perspective and auditing perspective if everything in the policy looks like that would be good for the township. And right now, I think we've got some protocols in place that addresses some of the questions you had relative to quotations and how we would handle emergency POs. And if you've had a chance to take a look at that policy, I can answer any questions that you might have.
I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
We didn't really have anything in place before. I think we tried this and we can get the feedback in 3 to 6 months if we see that we're getting some type of roadblocks with it. And we can always adjust if we need to. But
I think-
There's some layer of, just an extra layer of accountability built in.
Right. I think part of that protocol should be a preferred vendor list. Because not every department's gonna know widget A and widget B. The vendor needs to be held accountable for what they do, right? I mean, our departments, we have to give them the tools to make good decisions. If we give them a list of good vendors, that takes some of that burden off of the department heads. I think that needs to be in there somehow. And it doesn't necessarily have to be the best price, but the vendors need to be responsible for what they do. And I know we can't build it overnight, but start a list of people that treat us right and answer a phone call. Because like I say, you know, if I'm fire chief for the day, I don't know what an HVAC guy should be charging me. If I'm Dave for a day, I don't know what an electrician costs. And I shouldn't have to, you know, I don't want to burden the department heads. They have enough to worry about. But if we have a list of good quality vendors that at least answer the phone when we call and have a question.
so I guess the first question I would ask on that, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, just thinking out loud with this. How do we determine, and I don't know if there's any legal barriers to this, where we'd have to look at it. What is preferred vendor? How do we put them on that list? How do they become that preferred vendor? Just from a governmental standpoint, sometimes there might be layers to this that we have to be
Right.
careful with how we do that.
Just for instance, since we've already dealt with them and they do provide our service to us, Kimball, they didn't have to renegotiate that contract. We were in a contract for 2 years regardless. They could have held us to it, but I called them. They're willing to see the problem and they adjusted their figures just based off of a conversation. I also had that conversation with a vendor that recognized that, yeah, you paid way too much, but too bad for you. That would automatically not put you on the preferred list. You know, like I say, if you just have a question, just a conversation, I don't know.
Yeah, I think, so a couple follow-on points to that. So if we enter under contract, that's always going to come before you guys as a board, right? You're always going to get a chance
Sure.
to weigh in on that. When you look at considering a vendor that we're going to utilize, obviously, you're not necessarily required to accept the lowest quote. There's a variety of factors you're going to take into consideration, things like maintenance operating costs, standardization, their delivery schedule, the vendor's responsiveness, their prior performance. There's a series of factors that we can look at with that. If I'm hearing you correctly, you're talking about like compiling a specific list of preferred vendors to be utilized.
Not specific, but in general, I guess. A list of 3 or 4 references, just to, hey, this is the
Would it be
HVAC guy.
more of an informal internal document, or is it gonna be more of a policy? Because if it becomes more of a policy, then
I don't think it needs to be a policy, just a starting point. Like, hey, all right, can I be Dave for a minute? The road garage doesn't have any heat. Oh, we used so-and-so at town hall.
I guess it could be more of a list of previous vendors that we worked with.
To your scenario, that's actually going to be a discussion point here shortly.
Okay.
As far as like the HVAC piece specifically. I would think as a board, you definitely want to maintain a latitude when we're considering vendors. There's a series of factors you're going to want to take into consideration for that. So whether
Right.
you want to put them on a quote-unquote, you're on our preferred list, or you're not, potato. I mean, from my perspective, I would want to put together a list of, for example, for the HVAC issue, since you brought it up, I'll address it now. One of the discussions we're having is just try to bring HVAC for the township under one umbrella. We really haven't had a designated provider for HVAC services, so we've kind of had police has used X, administrative offices over here have used Y, road department has used Y in conjunction with the community center. From my perspective, we need to bring that under a single provider with one umbrella that's probably going to give us a more beneficial and accurate maintenance plan, and probably a break on some pricing if we put us under one umbrella. So having said that, when that gets put together and brought to you guys as a board, my thought would be to put that together. We would meet with a few different vendors and put together a series of questions and answers and information that they would need to answer. Things like not just their hourly rate, but their responsiveness, their after-hours work, referrals from other public entities around us. There's a series of things that I would bring to you guys as a board for you guys to then consider. So that's a long way of me saying, do you want them to be on a preferred vendor list, or am I giving you sufficient information with what I put together for that to let you make an informed decision without necessarily having a formal list? Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense. But I know the county does a preferred vendor. You can fill out the paperwork, this is my hourly rate, this is what an emergency rate is. Then the department heads, can go by that.
So if 6 plumbers want to be on that preferred vendor list, they put all 6 on there.
Yeah. Put it online and let them sign up. I don't know.
Is the additional paperwork have a benefit to us?
I don't know the answer to that. I mean, for the HVAC issue, am I an HVAC expert? I'm not, but I certainly know people that are. And I can certainly have conversations with people from the city of Talmadge and the city of Kent and Suffield Township around us, and who they're utilizing as a frame of reference as we look at all these other factors we want to consider on making that selection. The question comes down to, do you want them to be on a preferred list, or do we want to leave some latitude to myself as the administrator and or department head to explore beyond just what's on a preferred list?
I don't think the preferred list needs to be singled out. Like, we could have 3 plumbers, or 3 HVAC guys, or 3 electricians, or 5 electricians. If it's, I don't know. I'm just trying to take some of the burden off the head department, because not everybody knows what everything costs, or who's doing good quality work, or.
I guess I would look at it from, because we're not the size of the county where you have
Right.
like office on Infirmary, and you got an office in Ravenna, and an office in Manaway, like there's less communication. I would expect our department heads to communicate some more. Hey, you know what?
Sure.
I got an electrical problem. I'm gonna call Dave, or I'm gonna call Craig. Hey, who have you used in the past? And go down that route and let this new policy work its way through and see if that becomes more effective. Instead of I just don't wanna create additional, hey, come be a preferred vendor, fill out a form, Roy, analyze the form, put it into the system, create another document. Like, do we wanna create all that additional overhead? If we had offices all over where they weren't communicating, I could see a benefit to it. Sue?
What do I know?
You gotta vote.
I gotta vote. You know, if you do a preferred list, that's like something's etched in stone. And what about the new business coming into town? And he wants an opportunity to serve, you know. And you need an air conditioner guy. I know nothing about air conditioning. I just turn it on and turn the thermostat up or down or whatever. But there ought to be some way that we could coordinate enough together that we could get price comparison and do things to be our benefit also. That would be sort of simple.
So Sue, you don't know about air conditioning, but if you had a list of 5 guys that have treated us well in the past, you could take your pick.
Yeah, I can pick out a good one.
And say, hey, at least he's treated me fair before,
Or I
and he
can call
answers the
somebody and
phone.
say, hey, what do you know about this guy, or what do you know about this
Right.
guy, you know.
Right.
It'd be a point of reference, and then me trying to find 3 or 4 people to make a decision which one to use.
So how would we get from where we are now to a preferred vendor list? Like, do you want us advertising and trying to collect names in the meantime? What would be the process to get us from where we sit today to where that'd be fully operational?
Well, could we
And what
make a
it-
list of the ones that we've already used and that we're comfortable with?
Start with the one that stuck it to us about a month ago. They don't get preferred. They're the opposite of preferred.
Can I suggest something? So if you want to have a discussion about professional services and how we're gonna, if you want to put them under the category of professional services as is in this policy draft now, you want to treat that separately? I don't know your policy, you want to get that granular. I mean, we can have this discussion about the preferred vendor list, maybe outside the scope of this policy for now. If you're okay with this policy draft as is today, you could potentially move forward with adopting this, and then we can have a discussion about what preferred vendors might or might not look like going forward without having to necessarily amend this policy, although you do have the option going forward. If you want to have something added to this policy, you can certainly do that at any time by a motion to amend this policy. But I don't know if you want to address that specifically today and have that, in other words, do you want to table this for now and have that piece discussed as a potential addition to the policy, or do you want to
I think
adopt the policy as is today and then potentially amend in the future?
I think I'd like to table it because arbitrarily putting price tags on things like Dave, I mean, he could spend $7,000 on a couple of truck parts without blinking, right?
Right.
So to put a $3,500 price tag on, or I think it's just arbitrary. As to where, if we have a good tire guy that Dave has always had a good relationship with that hasn't overcharged us, I don't have a problem with spending $7,000 on tires, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I know, yeah, because you're
So
a
you
good vendor.
Right.
Now,
So,
if you notice, there is a section in this policy that we're specifically addressing things like vehicle maintenance and repair. There's exception language built in
right,
for
I
that.
was just using that as an example,
Okay.
not,
But that's something all the departments are probably going to run into frequently with vehicle
Right.
related issues. That's why that language exists there. Yeah.
but how do we know widget A costs $3,500? Right, so just an arbitrary number. But if we have vendor ABC that has always provided good widget A, that gets rid of the burden of trying to figure out a price. I'm trying not to hold our department heads.
Yeah, Kevin, I think some of what you're talking about to me is addressed under the best value standard section of the policy, where you're not necessarily required to accept a lower quote, but there's a series of factors you can take into consideration. So you're right, maybe vendor A is charging X for that part, but we still have the language that's going to require getting an additional quote. So if you're spending between $3,500 and $10,000, the department is going to have to get a couple of quotes on that as a frame of reference. So there's still some semblance of doing your due diligence on the backside.
Right. Okay.
But if you guys want to table this, that's certainly not a problem. I mean, this was just a follow-on to the discussion you guys had at your last meeting. But if you want a potential addition of a preferred vendor or something incorporating those types of professional services, I can certainly follow up and look into that a little bit further and potentially add that into the policy if that's something you guys think you want to do as a board.
I think it'd be a good part of it.
Jasmine, what's your thoughts on preferred vendors or creating a preferred vendor list and documentation?
When I think of a preferred vendor, I kind of go back to what Roy was saying about kind of getting like a certain provider for all of us under one umbrella. So typically, if you do that work and you are researching that vendor, typically that becomes a preferred vendor right there, because all the departments are under one umbrella. So say if we went to K&K for services, then we know that that's who we're going to call. We're not calling nobody else.
Because we're locked into a contract with them essentially.
Right.
And we're kind of doing that today with RJ's. I mean, RJ's has been doing vehicle work for us for years.
We have preferred.
Yeah. Yeah.
The process you have, we have. We just don't have it on paper.
Okay.
I mean, we had a conversation with recently all of us, and there's somebody I don't use anymore. That non-preferred vendor list that you were talking about, they're in that, it's in my head. I just don't call them anymore.
Right. That's all I'm asking.
So I guess the question is, do we need to formalize it, or is it something that we allow them to naturally work on amongst themselves? Because if we formalize it, then that's going to require documentation and record keeping. Does it need to go to that
I
level?
personally don't think it needs to be formalized. I just think that that we do need to be aware of it, but as far as formalized, I don't think it's necessary.
Dave, what are your thoughts? It affects you too, so what's your thoughts on it?
No, if we go to, more or less like we said, we had a discussion like HVAC. Everybody come together, one with the township. I have my preferred vendors for my trucks. I mean, there's a company I'm gonna use, even if I had to get 3 quotes, the company, I'm still gonna use them because they've always treated me right and took care of us right away. So, and again, like tires, I have a company I use there, I mean, which I could let Craig and them know too, the same thing, you know, if they need some tires and that, or they could let me know something on that aspect of theirs, so.
For me, the vision is there's more of that breakdown of the silos and more of this communication that we see happening, right? Where Dave says, hey, I had an issue with a vendor, and he shares it with the other department heads or vice versa, and we have that joint communication. I think works just as well as a formal program, but doesn't tire hands so much then.
Right.
Once we start putting.
I think, like Kevin, some of what he's saying is like kind of a cheat sheet. Or we can just, instead of looking numbers up on a phone book, we can, hey, you know, Craig had a great time, this guy, you know, where you have like a little bit of a cheat sheet. Instead of calling it a preferred sheet, it was more like a cheat sheet, where you don't have to look up phone numbers and that stuff. You can kind of categorize them a little bit, I guess. Like, this is a truck dealer we use, this is a truck, you know.
Just from a public government standpoint, when we start putting pen to paper and documenting it and creating that it goes, well, how do I get on that list? And then we go down the slope of, well, how did we put them on the list? Now we have to justify it. Like, it could spin quickly to a higher level of documentation than what we're looking for when the policy outlines how we should get the prices, and then they have this internal conversation.
Well, why couldn't we accept this policy as the chief presents it to everybody? And it's generic, but it's enough that would it would begin a building for us to work together with department heads. Because if I wanna know what something costs, or a big amount or whatever, I'd come to Roy first and say, hey, Roy, what do you think about this? And then go from there and maybe call somebody else, other department heads that's had, that way you don't have to have that big thing written there, you can just use some common sense with it and work together.
Well, I think that's a key part of it too, Roy, is you're part of that Swiss cheese, right? Kind of watching how some of this stuff transpires here. Mike, thoughts? I know you've been in government for a while, so.
I mean, I could just give you my past experience in the one village I worked for in a city. They had a rotation list. So, you know, let's say it's a water line break, or it was street repair or something like that. Crews couldn't handle it. We had a list of 3 to 5 on each of the subcategories, and then you use one, next time you use the next one, next time you use the next one, and that satisfied the audit. just what we did in the past.
Well, we do have the option for a motion, so we'll call for a motion to accept the resolution in name only, adopting a purchase and procurement policy pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 507.11A and declaring an effective date. So, anybody want to make a motion? Otherwise, we'll just get to
Oh, I'll make the motion. If I can get a second, I'll make the motion on that.
a motion.
I'd like to progress on with this book.
I'll second it for discussion, because it can still be tabled at that point. I think there's been some work put into this. Hearing back from the department heads, is there any concerns with the resolution and policy that's been presented after your discussion? Things that we might not be thinking about? Chris, you good?
Oh, yeah, I'm good with the policy.
Okay. Great. Dave?
I'm good with the policy.
Mike Ladd?
Yes.
Okay. I think we could start here and then circle back to adding a preferred. It could be an amendment to the policy too.
But it doesn't have to be a formal preferred list. It's just open communication, and this guy's good and this guy, don't call him.
I think if you tie this in with the expectation of that formal
Yeah, that's fine.
communication, it might solve the issue.
Yeah.
Other discussion on this?
Just a follow-up piece, so the emergency purchase section, there's some clarifying language there. If the department, if the police chief or fire chief or road superintendent has an emergency purchase order, they need to submit documentation to my office, no later than the next business day on that. And then that justification will go over to the fiscal office with the emergency PO paperwork that would go through. So just an extra layer built into that process. It's pretty infrequent. We don't have a lot of these. And I don't suspect that we will going forward, but there is a process in place for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor for the resolution of a purchasing and procurement policy. Roll call for acceptance.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passes.
That'll move us into new business. Roy, HVAC service.
Yeah, I guess we've kind of been here on this already. It's just a follow-up to some discussions that the board's had over your last meeting and even prior to that, and I had a chance to meet with the department heads and kind of discuss this, and I've already addressed it briefly with HVAC services going forward for the township. I just think there's a variety of reasons why it makes sense for us to look at somebody to provide the services across our township to all of our buildings. And I'm really not asking for any formal board action other than I'd like to move forward with gathering some information and bringing some people on site to look at our different buildings and what our needs are, and then supplying us with information that we need so I can come back to you as a board and present you with some options on that. But whoever we end up picking for that, I do want them to come out and again come on site and look at each of our buildings and get us onto a scheduled maintenance cycle for all of our buildings as well. So
I think it's a great idea, and I think after we look at HVAC, we might want to look at some other services too, where we could combine those resources and get that preferred price. Okay. Any other questions or discussions for administration?
I don't know if it falls under administration, but propane tanks will be switched out, I think, tomorrow.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
And then, is there any update on community or center rentals? Have we had any, Joe?
Yes.
I don't know if that's your part here, but
We're up to 5 new rentals since we've reopened. People are starting to visit. Can you hear me? So people are starting to visit the website and make reservations. We've had 3 reservations directly through the website and 2 reservations via phone so far. I'm meeting someone Wednesday at the community center to do a walkthrough for a baby shower. So, I mean, we're back to being on people's radar. No issues with the changes we've made. No one's blinked an eye with the rate increase or moving to credit card only. I've been able to implement a electronic e-signature through existing licensing we have with Adobe. So after a rental is made, I follow up with a form via our existing Adobe product that allows them to sign it electronically and email it back. Not one issue with that. Every rental that's been made, I sent out that form and I've gotten it back, usually within the next day. So everything is working as we were hoping it would, so.
Is there a shared calendar? Because I don't know when we're renting and I'm kind of on call.
Yes, we probably should work on that.
Yeah.
I'll have to create something. There was a shared calendar when Parks was doing it. I can resurrect that
Okay.
and add you to that.
Do you need my laptop for that?
Hmm?
Do you need my laptop for that? Or?
No,
is-
I can
is-
just, once I share it with you, it should show up when you,
Okay,
in your township email calendar.
okay.
Yeah, I do need to get with you on the electronic locks in the community center, though. I forgot to do that, so.
Do you know when the first weekend is rented, so I know?
Not off the top of my head.
Okay,
It might be as early as next week. I do believe there is a rental coming up pretty soon,
okay.
but get with
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Just a thought, I know it's only July, but I thought I'd bring it up now. We might want to add this to our agenda and start having discussions. Hometown Christmas would be November 29th. That would be typically when we hold that. That's the Sunday after Thanksgiving. We'll need at some point to officially set that if we're going to do the Hometown Christmas event again this year, and then figuring out scheduling for Hometown Christmas. Also, the Christmas Light Company reached out to me and wanted to know if we had any interest this year in utilizing their services to decorate town center. Obviously, we need to get back to them sooner than later, because they'll start booking out for the Christmas season already. So, nothing we need to take action today, I just wanted to put that on everybody's radar.
FYI.
And start having
okay.
that discussion for next meeting. I think we're gonna need to, sooner than later. We saw with Touch Truck, it took us a few months to put it together. We'll do the same time, with Hometown Christmas.
Okay.
So, I know we just had a heat wave, but it's gonna be here before we know it.
Since you mentioned Touch a Truck, I don't know if anybody came out or how many came out, but we had a pretty good turnout. The weather was perfect.
Yeah.
That was really good.
The new setup worked well too, I think, creating that aisleway, Dave, that you came up with for the food trucks and letting the people kind of walk and block it off that way.
Yeah, that way we don't have to worry about people walking in front of cars going from one truck to the next across the avenue.
Ice cream was good too.
Yeah. It was a good event. All right. Anything else under admin? If not, we'll move into zoning and economic development. Mike, the floor is yours.
Thank you. I have several things for the board approval tonight. First one is a request to send Meyer Stores Limited to the prosecutor's office for follow-up. We have an issue with their striping coming in by the gas station, as well as going down the road in front of, or actually would be behind Burger King and all that area in there. You just can't see any of the striping. It's become an issue. We sent letters. They've ignored us. We actually even emailed our contact within Meyer with no response, so I think it's time to turn it over.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to send Meyer to prosecutor's office reference driveway striping issues.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Dave, or Mike, we've reached out several times. They're just not responding to us at all.
No, it's
Okay.
sent to corporate, and then we emailed our contact and no response.
No response, okay. All right, we got a motion and a second on the floor. Send to the prosecutor's office. Roll call for acceptance.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you. The next one I have is a request, Wendy's Properties LLC to the prosecutor. The back parking lot is an issue. We do have a new owner, and I did speak with him the first day that he took over. And he is just the franchise owner. He is not the landowner. And he did have, if you look through some of the pictures that we gave you, some of the cars have been being worked on back there. I mean, they actually park back there, take the tires off, start doing brake jobs, shocks, everything else in the parking lot. And then we've had the same vehicles. There's like a little white vehicle that the homeless guy lives in, sleeps in at night, goes down to the ramp, it pleads for money during the day, and then goes back and sleeps in the car there. And then we have another black Nissan SUV that's actually on jack stands back there still to this day. So they did remove one of them. I did contact him. I said, "Oh, I need all of them removed," and then he never returned my call after that. And I sent several notices. But also, if you take a look at the parking lot in the rear, it's pretty dilapidated and needs to
Yeah,
be
it is.
paved. So we do want to get that accomplished as well.
I'll entertain a motion to send the Wendy's property to the prosecutor's office.
So moved.
Second.
Any additional discussion on this?
No, I've seen it.
All right, roll call?
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Next one I have is the request to send 1320 Brookdale Lane to the prosecutor's office. It's an abandoned vehicle that's been going on since, I believe it's 2019.
Yeah.
So the tires are off of it. It looks like the engine's off. The front end is completely removed. And it's just been there for years.
I'll entertain a motion to send 1320 Brookdale Lane, prosecutor's office, reference an abandoned vehicle.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this property?
No.
All right, roll call, please.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. Last one of these is a request to send 1214 Sunview Drive to the prosecutor's office for ongoing issues since 2019. This is just a multiple request for junk, debris, tires, abandoned vehicles, unlicensed vehicles.
And Ike's boat.
It's all in the side yard, not the rear. And all the neighbors on Sunview, we've got multiple complaints through the years on this one. And it's a new tenant. It's a rental property, and they seem to ignore us as well. But I'm thinking with our new prosecutor and the way that he's fining $100 a day for people that don't clean up, I think we'll get this cleaned up pretty quick.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to send 1214 Sunview Drive to the prosecutor's office, reference ongoing violations since 2019.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. The next thing I have for board approval is, we had a public hearing, section 400.10B 56L1. And I'd like to remove, actually, the zoning commission would like to remove, number one, ownership. Any ownership arrangement, including but not limited to fee simple lots and condominiums, is permitted in conservation development regardless of the ownership of the land. The arrangement of the dwelling units shall comply with the spacing requirements of this section. They want to take that section out of the code. We don't want development inside the conservation areas. It just seems to be counterproductive on that.
All right. And this is the one we had the public hearing on.
Yes.
All right, so I'll entertain a motion to accept the Brimfield Township zoning text amendment change for section 400.10B 56L.
Number one.
Number one.
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have motion and second. This was duly advertised, the public hearings for the zoning commission,
It was.
and regional planning gave their opinion back on this.
Yes, they approved it.
All right, and were there any comments or feedback during any of the zoning commission meetings that the board should be aware of?
None.
All right, we did hold a public hearing today at 6:45 PM. There was no comments made during that time either, for the record. So, Mike, this would just eliminate the chance for any development inside of the OC district?
Yep. I mean, you could still build, there is some sections of the open space that you're allowed to, but I believe it's like 5 acres, you know. So
So
you
it
can't, it eliminates,
pushes out the
it
larger
eliminates the
lots.
developments, yeah.
Okay.
The OC district's basically southeast.
There's several OC districts. I actually have a map with me. So it's all in green. So you've got it along Mogador and along Sanctuary Drive, and
Is it the light green or the dark green?
it's the dark green.
Is that properties back there by the recycling center then too? Or is that?
Most of that is heavy industrial back there.
Okay. I thought we had rezoned part of that at
It's
one
mostly
point.
down south.
Yeah.
by the Round Reservoir, basically, right?
Those, basically that and then Sanctuary Drive. Now, Sanctuary used to be all open space conservation at one time. And we scratched our heads as we were like, how did that become our highest density area when it was all conservation? And then we found this section. Where that's gotta be removed.
Okay. Any further discussion on the text amendment change? All right, hearing none, roll call to accept the Brimfield Township zoning text amendment proposal.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thank you. And that take effect 30 days from today.
Okay.
New business update, zoning commission. Discussion surrounding data centers continues, including detailed restrictions that are needed in the draft legislation. The commission went over Chapter 8 agriculture of the comprehensive land use plan and heard from a guest speaker, Neil Sackett, president or CEO of Carter Lumber. I believe Carter Lumber is one of the biggest property owners we have within our township, so it was good to hear from him on his take. Section 400.10B 57F, which covers short-term parking, was discussed due to the rising issues behind Wendy's. A public hearing was held on June 10th to remove section 400.10B 56L1. That's the one that you guys just approved. And then the next zoning commission meeting is July 9th. A public hearing is set for 6:45 at the regularly scheduled meeting. That is on the website as far as the agenda for the whole commission as well. BZA, we granted a 6-month extension on a conditional use permit for Schaefer Woods subdivision off Talmadge Road. That means that they have to begin that construction within those 6 months. They're not allowed any other extensions. If they don't meet that extension, then they will have to reapply and resubmit the drawings for approval. The July BZA meeting has been canceled due to no applications were received. And then also not on the list, but I am going to be on vacation from July 10th to the 17th, and I'll be back on the 20th. So, and that was already approved by Roy today, so.
All right. Any questions for zoning?
It's not necessarily a question, Mike, but since it's between zoning and road department, the rat issue down here at Beechcrest.
Yes.
I have sent several emails to the health department with absolutely zero response. I'm gonna go visit them tomorrow.
Yeah.
I talked to Mike Tinlin. He's gonna call them, see if we can't get something done.
Yeah.
I did get a report that they are actually down here on 43. So Dave, they're swimming down through the storm sewer and the ditch that comes into that pond down here by the bread oven. So it's not just Beechcrest. They're all the way down to 43.
Yeah, 'cause that, where Beechcrest lets out at, it should go across the road.
There's a pond there,
Up there, yeah, there's a pond and then.
and it comes across
that
43.
point. Yeah.
So they're following the water down through.
Yeah, it becomes a public nuisance. And it's, it's a health hazard, so.
Yeah. Anyhow, I didn't know where that fit in, so that's between you guys too. The zoning and roads, so.
Yeah, it's, it's not a zoning matter per se, with rodents, but, we're certainly going up and down Beechcrest and we've got violation letters out to everybody that looks like they have junk debris, garbage. Sue went with me. We went up and down the streets of Beechcrest the one day and I showed her, and she showed me some that I wasn't aware of. So, we have new letters going out there. We're gonna try to address everything we can, from a zoning standpoint. And then you're gonna have probably another 4 or 5 cases going next meeting to the prosecutor's office. There was one abandoned house with garbage we've seen.
Yeah.
And then, so we're handling that as well.
Bad stuff.
Where are we at with the 2050 land use plan? I know there was some talk back in January that we were going to rework that, trying to get back feedback. I know you did the one survey with farmers.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a chance that we could be looking at doing the feedback from the community I guess they call it the Dick Mesner night, where we used to get the buses in, drive everybody around, kind of show them the changes that are happening, things that are happening, bring them back in, get feedback from the public. Is that something that we're committed to still doing this year? Is it something that's gonna go off into 2027?
Yeah.
Because I think it's important to get that feedback from the community.
I think the zoning commission is waiting, so we've been going chapter by chapter. Some of the chapters are taking like multiple meetings, like, the data center thing is a big topic right now. And do you create a new chapter of the code for information and technology, and highlight a different whole area, or do you put it in heavy industrial? Where do you put, something like that? So they've been kind of going through. We're up to chapter 8 right now, but there was conversation, and correct me if I'm wrong, Bill's here, but we discussed that and how to get information out. The board was receptive to that, so.
Just because the night before we start getting into winter time again, and then it's harder to get out and see everything. Plus, if you're working your way through the chapters, I think getting feedback from the community, instead of working our way through all the chapters and then doing a community night and saying, these are all the changes we're gonna make, and they say, oh, well, we wanna see this, this, and this, and we
Yeah.
go back to the drawing board again. Is that something that we should be trying to coordinate and think about?
Yeah, we could do that. I could bring that up Thursday, so.
All right. Anything else for zoning? Sure. Hearing nothing, we'll go to the road department. Dave, floor's yours.
All right, thanks, Nick. Just a few updates on some things. Malloy Road update, it's, the county's working on the draft and design of the Malloy Road project, the piping project. We've been continuously road mowing when the weather lets us. We're still in process of getting around, we're working on the second time around now, where we're actually cutting back even further. Buckeye Boulevard update, we're waiting on, the county water resources to put a camera through there yet. They were supposed to be out there today or tomorrow to camera that piece. I want camera to make sure that's all right before we put everything back together. 3754 Boydell, the pipe project. I had an estimate from Helmy Construction that came in about 200 feet of 12-inch double-walled plastic. 2-3 yard tees and a concrete catch basin, adding all that into replacing the other stuff for $9,500, plus grading the one ditch a little bit more, filling it, getting everything to kind of flow a little better in that way. I just want to let you know that. Actually, I probably should have put it underneath board approval. That was my mistake. But yeah, I would like to move forward with this project. Get it on their books and get them moving on it. So, I mean, if we need to amend the agenda to put on our board approval, or it's 9,500, I mean, most of the time I just kind of go as long as you guys are all right with it.
What's, Jasmine, what's the threshold to require board vote? 5,000?
5,000, yeah.
I'll entertain a motion to amend the agenda to move 3754 Boydell Pipe Project under old business board approval number 1.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All right, motion is second to approve the amended agenda. And roll call?
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, and then I'll entertain a motion to accept the 3754 Boydell Pipe Project at a cost not to exceed, what's the price on that, Dick?
9,500.
$9,500. Need a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Dave, this is coming out of the road funds.
Pardon me?
Road funds?
Yes, it's coming out of account number 2031-330-323-000. I talked to Jasmine. I sent Jasmine an email today I just got the information today, so.
Okay. Jasmine, you good with that?
Yes.
Any other questions on this project? Hearing none, roll call to accept as presented.
Kevin,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, sorry about that. I should have looked at my thing better. King Ridge drainage out there, Silver Star, I've talked to them. They're waiting on it to dry out a little bit more to come in and do some brush hogging and that kind of stuff with their machine. That way we don't tear up more than what we want to fix. But, yeah, I talked to them. They're waiting on it to dry out a little bit more to come in and do some brush hogging and that kind of stuff with their machine. That way we don't tear up more than what we want to fix. Some new business, we've been out fixing potholes with the Durapatcher. We did some work on the soccer fields. We got an email, some issues with some holes and stuff. We went out through, between the two soccer fields, we used about 60 ton of topsoil, filling in holes and leveling some areas off. Plus, we cut an area off on the soccer, the old baseball field where there was a lip. We cut it down to where it smoothed the field out a little more where there wasn't a big hip. So, and that's all been topsoil seeded too, that's been taken care of. We had just a few issues with this weekend storm, just minor trees down here and there, a few places and some power lines, but we will get that stuff all cleaned up starting tomorrow. And just a reminder, the bid opening next trustee meeting on 7/20 at 6:45 p.m. is when we have the bid opening for sanctuary review, the OPWC project in Willowbrook, the alternate tie-in.
All right, any other questions for Ryan?
Hey, Dave, what's it cost to have the county run a camera down them pipes?
It doesn't cost
No,
us
it's
money.
free? Okay.
And there was, that vacations what kind of
No,
screwed it all up.
that's all right.
One camera guy was off, the other guy was tied up, and then all of a sudden one was sick and the other one was off. It was a back and forth thing, so it should be, they said they were gonna camera it today or tomorrow for sure. So hopefully by next trustee meeting, I have an update on that and we can get that concluded.
Hearing none, we have no business under cemetery. Sue, do you have any comments under cemetery?
No.
All right, and then we'll move into fiscal. Jasmine, where's yours?
Okay, Roy, you wanna take number one?
Jet allocation.
Yeah, I think we're still waiting for some feedback on this, as far as how that's gonna be allocated. I think that was kind of punted back. It was punted back to the board on how we want to determine how that's gonna work, and I don't think we have an answer for that right now.
So we got response from legal counsel. They gave us some options.
Yeah.
And so I think we just have to discuss. Essentially, we have the JED M&I funds, the auditors requesting that while the language was changed in our updated maintenance and improvement agreement with the Talmadge JED, the auditors requesting that we set thresholds. So what percentage will be used for maintenance and improvements? In other words, we can't spend 100% on vehicle purchases, even though the language of the contract is that way. Mark seems to be, our attorney, seems to be leaning towards, he sees both sides of the case. He said maybe we just need to set a small threshold that we carry so much in that fund for maintenance improvements of the JED area, and the rest can be utilized. Once we are able to set what that threshold is, then we can get the reimbursements happening based on what those thresholds are. So the question is, how much of the, not the entire JED, but just the maintenance and improvement fund in Talmadge should be allocated for only maintenance and improvements, the rest being allowed to be used for the vehicles or maintenance and improvement. And that's how I took that email. Jasmine, do you have anything to add to that, or does that sound about accurate?
Yes, that sounds accurate.
It's a slippery slope for me because I was talking with Jasmine earlier. If we set a threshold of 10%, let's use simple math here. So we got $100 in the account, we set the threshold at 10%, means $10 has to be used for maintenance improvement only. Does that 10 carry over to the next year? So the next year we have to use 10, so now we got $20 locked up into that account. And within 5 years, you got 50% of the money tied up, right? You keep carrying over that 10, that 10, that 10. Or does it reset, hey, you have $10, you don't use it in that year, and it carries over to the next year. Now it's 10% of $110, so $11 has to go to that, which then allows more use for vehicle purchases. I think it's gonna come down to how we word it. I just am looking for feedback from the board on what we think that threshold should be. We can set it at 50, we can set it at 20. I just personally don't wanna see us set that threshold so high that we can't make the vehicle purchases in a way that we intended to use them, because It's not that we're not doing maintenance and improvement of the JED. We've been doing it through a different vehicle than what was created when the JED was originally formed. We've been using the TIF, and Mike, where were we at? A couple $1 million in investment in maintenance and improvement outside of the JED
Mhm.
M&I fund, correct?
We spent, so Talmadge Jed, our TIFs brought in infrastructure, water lines, sewers, pavement. We built and leveraged 11,600,000.
So, we're not, it's not that we're not doing it, we just found a
Right.
different way to leverage it.
We just found a different way to do it.
And so
right.
therefore, that's why we had the language changed in order to allow the vehicle purchases, because the JED is now having that wear and tear on the vehicles, so we need to maintain and improve our vehicle fleets in order to service those JED areas.
Has anybody asked Talmadge what they think?
I don't believe that they really care, because it's,
Well, they do care because they ask us.
one person posed the question, but it's, we manage the fund, so it's essentially up to us.
I think I would prefer if they don't care, that they tell us they don't care.
I mean, this is gonna put us into a position of, we can send them a letter and ask their board to give an opinion on it. Now, it's an opinion, do we want them driving how we set those dollars, though? Or is it something that we set, and the longer we wait on this, the longer that money sits in the M&I fund, not dispersed back to fire to deal with fire or police budgetary issues too, that we have to switch back and forth.
Make any suggestion?
You are?
I'll take
I would,
feedback.
I would look to see what he spends on cold patch, Durapatch, striping, all that within the JED, and then set that. Because that's your maintenance.
Right. And it's not to say we can't spend more than that, and that
Right.
we wouldn't spend more.
Right.
It's just how much do we, when we know that we have a vehicle maintenance house? How much work are you doing in the JED area?
Well, like Beach Crest Lawn, that falls into the Talmadge Jet area. And all them deteriorating lots, I mean, I hate to say it that way, that are falling, roadways are falling apart. We spend a lot of time in them developments and stuff. Plus you have, I forget now what the number is, because we had to look up some of the stuff earlier in the year for the jet stuff, and plus you're talking about salt and plowing. I mean, that's maintenance and repair, you're out plowing the roads off and stuff like that. So you're almost half and half, sides Kent, half sides Talmadge.
Does that fall under the definition of that, of maintenance improvement, Mike? Which you,
Oh, yeah,
as for
ma-
legal opinion, but just.
Yeah, maintenance of the roads would fall in that.
Because that's kind of like considered maintenance of the roads in the wintertime, to keep them open for the public to move forward.
So they can then
Right.
access them.
Any of the new roads we created in the JED or anything like that.
Could it be existing roads that were
Mhm.
prior to the JED, because they
Yeah.
have to utilize those to get to that point.
You have to, yeah. Just a different way of looking at it.
So the auditor is holding up our 2024 audit findings until this gets resolved. That's why it's sitting here on the agenda today.
Does anybody know what a percentage is that we spent previously on vehicles? Probably 100.
I would tell you, we buy 2 police cars and equipment out of that fund every year, which is roughly $150,000 max for both. I don't know what number comes in there, but I know it's millions. So I will tell you that 60% of my calls are in the Talmadge JED. And this year alone, 10% of our calls are just in that financial district. That includes Walmart, Menards, and all of that. 10% of our calls are just in that small area, west of 76, no farther south than 76, and no farther north than Rubbermaid. That little small there, 10%.
My thought is, we set the threshold at 10%, 20%, whatever it was, 10%. Doesn't mean we're only gonna spend 10% on maintenance improvement. Dave comes to us and says, hey, we gotta get a road replaced, I need to use 50% of that JED M&I fund. No one says you can't do that. It's just saying that we will set aside at least this much for maintenance and improvements, and not let it 100% go to vehicles. personally, I'm of the opinion the contract's very clear. It says that we can use it for maintenance improvements of vehicles. Nowhere does it say we need to set a percentage. Do we want to get in a legal battle with the auditor over it? Probably not, but I think we could win that legal battle, but it would take us another 6 months to a year to fight that one out. Because the contract language is very clear.
Or do we know what's ballpark total for the M&I funding for a year? Does anyone know that?
How much is what?
The total?
Like the revenue
What does
that
it
comes
bring
in
in?
it?
Yeah.
So the total revenue the Brimfield Township brings in, this year's budget was at $360,000 for M&I.
Would you give that number again? please?
360.
360,000.
Do it 30% for each department, 33.
I was thinking 25. Then 4 departments basically, right?
Well,
I mean, 3 departments and then M&I.
remember, M&I is different than the JED fund.
Yeah.
It's just the maintenance and improvement fund. If we were to set aside 10%, that's 36,000, call it 40. You set aside 20%, that's $80,000 a year for improvements that are being set
20%.
aside only being used for improvements. Can't be used for vehicles or anything else beyond that.
20%
Now-
would be 72,000, but yeah.
Yeah. So now the question though becomes, does that continue to grow and grow and grow?
So do your problems.
So
And
you
so do
just build a
prices.
savings account up there for it?
I think split it 4 ways. Does that work for the rest? I mean,
I don't know if I'd want to shoehorn us into saying it's 25, 25, 25 in a policy. Right? I could say, hey, you set 25% aside for M&I, for improvements only,
yeah, that's,
and then the 75% is left out there for the board to choose how, because we might Craig might come to us next month and say, hey, I got awarded a grant to buy a fire engine, I need 5%. Well, then we pull the 5% out of there to make that happen, now he's not getting money out of there again for a few years until
no,
the
I'm
next
saying,
grant comes around.
I'm saying 25% for M&I and then the other 75% split up if whatever department would need it.
If you set aside, hypothetically speaking, if you set aside whatever the number's gonna be, 25%, but you don't use that full amount for the year, does that just carry over into the next year?
It's gonna be how we draft the language. So do we want that to build as a savings account that continues year after year after year? Which means when they do that look back, they're gonna look at that from the look back and then set that money aside too. Now, in theory, you could relieve that funds by saying, hey, Dave, how much did you spend on road salt in that area? And pay it right back over to the road department and run through that fund if you had to. Really, I feel like it's a pointless exercise that the auditor's making this.
Yeah, I'm just trying to take into account the point that Mike made with where we're handling maintenance improvement through an alternate vehicle, which is the TIFs.
Right.
I'm trying to take that into consideration as you guys consider this.
Yeah, and that's my point, is we've been spending millions into these districts. How much more, honestly, I don't understand why the auditors even make us go through the exercise. Sue, what are your thoughts?
I really don't have any thoughts to put on this listing.
Okay.
I really think we should ask Talmadge for input. It makes good neighbors. We don't have to listen to them, I mean, but I think they should have some input. They are partners. Nothing makes your partner more mad than not having a conversation.
So we want to ask them what our threshold should be.
Well, I think I don't know, just some input.
Roy, what's your thoughts on that?
I just think you want to maintain, whatever the percentage is going to be, you want to maintain flexibility on how you're using the remaining percentage, because that's going to vary year to year. You may have a year where you have a need for the fire department or a need for the road department that may fluctuate. So the concept of leaving that and not allocating it specifically to departments, I think, gives you more flexibility as a board. I would agree with that part. As far as the question, it comes down to what percentage you think you need to allocate specifically for the M&I. without some hard data behind that, I don't know that I would have a highly informed answer for that without some data behind it. But I'm trying to take into account the TIF piece. So I would think that number should probably be on the lower side, accounting for the fact that you have the TIFs.
I think Roy's got some really good points there for us to consider.
Well, we can leave it tabled, and Roy, do you want to reach out to Talmadge to see if the mayor has an interest in bringing this to their board? Knowing that we have to set a time limit on this. We can only tie up the audit for so long, and the relief to fire, police, roads. We couldn't run it. I personally say we set it at 10% and move on. It's a day, but I think it's a fruitless exercise from the state auditor.
Jasmine, what do you think? Here's
I mean, I think that we need to make sure our safety and emergency vehicles are operating efficiently and effectively to even service the JED. And we know that that is very costly. So, so it makes sense for that amount to be larger and be able to be more flexible depending on who needs it. But I'm agreeing.
Could we do it two-part? Set it at 25% for M&I with a rollover of 10 or something like that.
In theory, we could write it however we want to.
Just bear in mind, you're setting a minimum percentage,
Right.
which doesn't mean you cannot exceed that.
Right.
My thought is go low. You can always exceed that if there's a need that comes up. You can always go over that percentage. You're establishing a minimum threshold for that. My recommendation would be to go low and maintain the flexibility on the backside with your remaining percentage amounts.
Because if you set it at 10, doesn't mean that Dave doesn't come to us and say, hey, Nick, if board, road blew up over here, I need 30% of that fund this year in order to fix that road. We could spend 100% of it on the road if we wanted to. But if we set that number too high and Chris says, hey, I lost a cruiser, Craig says, hey, I got an ambulance on a grant, and Dave says my dump truck needs replaced this year, now we're locked out of being able to spend that money. We hit a threshold and we're locked out. That's why the language of the contract to me solves the whole issue, but with checkbox here.
Are you guys talking like 10% of all the M&I funds for the year? Or
Just the
what's that
jet.
number?
So just the M&I funds for the Thomas Jets, there's 360,000 comes in. The auditor's saying we won't release the funds until you set a percentage that will be set aside for improvements only. Even though the language is very clear that we changed, the language says that it will be used for improvements and vehicle purchases. Nowhere does it say we have to set a minimum.
Go with Roy's recommendation and then go low. Like he recommended.
But you could always do more, because 10% is not even gonna cover,
Yeah, it's minimal.
not gonna cover a police
It's just the
car.
M&I fund.
The 10% is only for
It's for
improvements.
improvement. It's not vehicles that are separate.
So you'd have
Separate piece.
90%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
well,
there's
I'm not gonna-
360,000. If we set it 10%, 36,000 of that is locked out, cannot be used for vehicles at all for the year.
Okay.
That's what they're asking for.
I
They're asking for us to set
I
aside.
had this backward every time.
Give them a percentage and make them happy.
Huh?
Give them a percentage and make them happy and go on.
Okay.
We'll have to draft, this is us having the discussion,
Yeah.
to then send it to the attorney to have them draft the official
Yeah.
resolution we're gonna need. So it's not gonna get approved till next meeting.
I think the lower the better. I think I'm gonna keep going with TIFs, so. I mean,
Yeah,
I've got-
and that's our justification, once again, is that we've spent way more than this
If it's just
maintenance
a-
and fund will.
If it's
ever
just a minimum, we go
collect.
5%, you know, yeah.
Because then you've got the, like Mr. Ladd said, you have that new TIF money coming in.
This year, we may spend a bunch on vehicles, but next year, we may find that we're spending a bunch on a road because there is a road issue, and we have to stall out the vehicle purchase that year. It gives us the flexibility without time. That was the whole point in changing the language to begin with, was to give us the flexibility. So the question is, what do we want to set that number at so we can send it over to our legal counsel in order for them to draft up the official resolution for the auditor? You want to say just at 10%, or do you? I mean, if you really feel we need to take it to Talmadge, then we'll take it to Talmadge. We'll
Well, I just don't want to, I don't want to cause friction there between them. They were nice enough to change it one time.
I think we articulated well to them, though, that we've also invested $11 million that they didn't have to invest in order to collect their share of the taxes over.
Right.
That's
No.
a large investment. Jasmine, how would you feel if we set it at 10%?
I'm fine with that.
Do you want us to set it as 10?
Because it's just a minimum of 10%.
Yeah, it's a minimum 10%. Do you want us to set that as a carryover balance then too? So if it doesn't get used for improvement, it's 10%. If not used, it carries over to the following years? Or do you want that set as 10%, and if you don't use it, then it just becomes a new pot of money the next year? So in other words, do you want it to be built so that it creates a savings account for improvements?
I think that would be good, because we never know. We might need it.
So it starts to build up in there, and then we could
All right.
spend off of it for an improvement.
10% with the carryover is fine.
10% with the carryover. Does that make sense, Roy, that you could articulate it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no vote on it today, obviously, because we gotta get the official motion back. But
Okay.
let's take it back to Mark at 10% with the carryover.
Okay.
All right, second item for new business is, board approval for amended appropriations for the new fund 3102. Basically, we're just reducing 2199 and putting that into 3102 for debt retirement, which
So
is
you-
basically our USDA.
You're just moving a line item then.
Yeah, we're just basically eliminating Fund 2199 to Fund 3102.
Okay. Do you need a motion on that?
Yeah, we'll entertain a motion to move the funds from 2199 to 3102.
So moved.
Second.
All right, discussion on this. So this is is this remaining construction money that we have?
No, so this is the USDA. This is the bond levy.
This is our payment.
This is the payment.
Payment line.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any additional questions on that? All right, roll call to accept that?
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
All right, motion passes.
You should have a sign.
Yeah, there's a sign. One right here. And last item is just financial information added to the website. I think it was maybe end of last year, Joe and I were doing Power BI, kind of like data tables that we would add to our website so people could actually like interact with our financials and click the dates and whatnot. That has not been occurring since we were transitioning our website. Now that is done. I just wanted to get board feedback on what type of financial information you would like to see added to the website. And also, I do want to add the update for the Ohio checkbook. I know Nick mentioned this in the past, but they are looking to make that mandatory across all Ohio municipalities. So if that was to be approved, I know that the House approved it, like 91-5. So now it's on to the Senate. So I'm thinking it's probably going to be approved sooner than later. So that would be something that would be on our website, and it would provide all expenditures and revenue information, and must include dates and times of those expenditures and revenue sources. So that might be sufficient enough.
I mean, honestly, who does a great job, and I mentioned this before, is Jackson Township. If you go to their website
Yeah.
and look at how they're doing it,
Okay,
if we could talk with them, replicate that system somehow,
okay.
they do a really good job on that financial transparency that we're looking for. At least I'm looking for.
Okay, I can reach out to
Yeah.
try to touch base with their fiscal officer. Any
I mean, if we
other?
get to the Ohio checkbook, I think that's also
Right,
a functionally simple solution
yeah,
also.
okay. But that's all I had today.
Questions for fiscal? Hearing none, we do have an executive session. Prior to going into executive session, though, I would like to open up the floor for the good of Brimfield Township. We will accept any public comments at this time. Please sign in with your name and information prior to speaking. We'll give you that opportunity. Anybody?
Okay.
So the person that came in and talked from Novak, and he talked to you guys about giving you a better rate, is he talking about giving all the residents of Brimfield a better rate? Because we're all signed up under Brimfield for NOPEC. So you're automatically forced into paying electric unless you opt out. So are we going to get a better rate as residents? He didn't explain that, and he got out of here before I got a chance to ask him. Do you guys know? Do you have an answer for that? No? So it's just going to be the town center lighting and the buildings itself that'll get a better rate, and the residents, you don't know about it. So Roy, when he comes in and talks to you, would you ask him that question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a lot of comments for how you guys can handle your preferred vendors, but I wrote them down, and it'll take more than that time, so I'll just give them to whoever wants them, but I did that for years. We can add to it.
Thanks for your comments. Anybody else? Okay. If not, I'll make a motion to convene into executive session pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 121.22G, for the purposes of considering the following manner: to consider the purchase or sale of property at competitive bidding, if premature disclosure information would give an unfair competitive or bargaining advantage to a person whose personal or private interest is adverse to the general public interest. Number 2. Need a second for that.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call for executive session.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passes.
We'll be in executive session, 8:37 PM. Board of Trustees, Fiscal Officer, and Township Administrator. From executive session, with no action to be taken at this time. Is there any other news for the good of the order? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Second,
All right, motion second, roll call.
Kevin?
Yes.
Sue?
yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion approved.
All right, adjourn at 9:06 PM.